I want to start with just a little piece of a song that's at the beginning of a solo performance piece that I performed last year. So let me just do a little screen share here. One sec.
I don't have much sound. More.
We choose to love them. Oh, and saying yes to life, both shadow and light. Our suffering is done, and we come alive.
Hopefully, if you couldn't hear it, you could read it.
Yeah, we did. I read it.
So do we have a way that I can see hand raises? Is that something on the side, chat? I want to be able to ask a few questions and see with a raise of hands.
You can see the raise of hands of the people that have turned the cameras on in the pictures. Yes.
Oh, camera. How do I turn my camera on?
Lower left corner, there's a little start and stop video. So welcome everyone, I'm Malcolm Smith. I'm a homeopath, I'm a dream worker, I'm a naturopath, pretty much in that order, right?
Sure,
So
I know.
I want to know who I'm talking to first. So just with a show of hands, how many of you folks are actively practicing homeopathy? Raise your hand. Okay. And how many of you are students of homeopathy? Okay.
No.
Raise your hand if you think that homeopathy
There are only
is.
4 of us.
And mute your microphone, please.
Everyone mute your mic unless I ask a specific question, and then you can unmute to come back in. Because otherwise we hear dogs and noses blown and all that stuff.
And it's the bottom left corner of the screen.
So, is this a time where homeopathy is contracting and getting smaller, or is it widening, getting bigger? Raise your hand if you think homeopathy is contracting. Oh, we got some hand raises on that, but not many. How many have this experience that something's suddenly opening for homeopathy? Yes, absolutely. So on that list of good things the coronavirus brought to us in 2020, re-looking, a rediscovering of people's inner world is happening. It really is happening. And homeopathy is a beautiful practice to be a part of. But because all this inner work is happening, we as homeopaths, I think there's an invitation for us to be more on our inner awareness game than ever. So I've been a homeopath for 25 years, and most of my life I've identified as, those past 25 years, I proudly identified as a homeo head. Yeah, I'm a homeo head. There's Malcolm, ask him, he's a homeo head. And that's the name for us nerdy homeopaths that love to go to conferences and, the testidines. They've cracked the pattern of testidines. And so then we have to memorize all the little things so we make sure we recognize a turtle if he walks or she walks in the door. So a lot of stuff was up here. I'm going to collect information. I'm going to hold it. And then I'm going to be an expert. And I'm going to help all different kinds of people because I'll recognize patterns in them that I've seen in nature. I'll go, oh, how about this? And then you watch, and a month later you get some feedback and you make some other changes. Well, I'm not a homeo head anymore. I will not answer to that. I am a homeo heart. And it's been a long journey from this 1 foot, from this 12 inches, from here to here, has taken me a long time with a lot of stumbling. And I'm not always there. But this is what I want to share with you today in these next 80 minutes, 90 minutes. I want to just give you a little bit of the reason why I've shifted the way I prescribe. So I want to start with a dream because I feel like the right dream, they're magic. It's a parable. And when we're trying to get past the intellect to another part of the psyche, another part of the way we figure and look through the world, parables are great because we have this way of constantly discerning as we listen, as we take in information. Do I believe this? Do I believe this? Do I believe this? And if the answer is no, I mean, you've all looked at a YouTube and you started to watch something you were interested in, and then that person says one thing that you think is bogus, and you go like, oh, you cannot press the stop button fast enough. Like, get me out of here. I don't want to watch another word, or the word of this person talk. So parables get past that part, which is sometimes the superego mind that says, I know what I believe. And as a homeopath, we're already kind of pushed to the very edge of society and what's acceptable. So that's why I think, it's my theory, why homeopaths dig in their heels and are really righteous about this is the way to practice and this is not the way to practice. And there's a lot of drama in the homeopathic community about who's doing it right and who's doing it wrong. And oh, no, I don't believe that. Okay, it's because we've been marginalized so much that we got to put on a white coat and be the pure homeopaths, whatever that means. So the parable maybe gets past any of that thinking that you might have, even just a little bit of. So here's the dream. I dreamed that I was outside in a park with a man I didn't know, surrounded by puppies. And the puppies are all over, licking, kissing, jumping, having a great time. And the man is taking pictures with this camera. And he says, want to see a picture I took? And he shows me the camera, and it's this incredible image of puppies, but then there's this visual swirl effect where the puppies are, the energy of the puppies is going up in a cloud around us, and there's all this imagery on the screen that I can't see with my eyes. And I said, what is with your camera? How did you take these pictures? And he said, my mother made an adjustment to the camera. My mother deactivated the autofocus. So then I woke up. All right, so there are certain symbols in dreams that appear again and again and again. And that idea that you can't possibly know what a dream means unless you spend an hour with a good Jungian therapist, it's going to unpack for you what might dog have meant for you when you were little. And there's actually some very straightforward ways of discerning what a dream means. So dog in your dream means heart. Okay? So dog, why do people prefer, if they do, prefer dogs over cats? Because they have their unconditional love. They love you no matter what. Yes. So where else do we know that dog equals heart? In Chinese medicine, the pericardium, they refer to as the gatekeeper to the heart, and the pericardium is also known as the dog. And then in Hebrew, the word for dog is kalev, which means towards the heart. And then in English, what's dog spelled backward? Dog is heart, is God. All right, so we are surrounded in this dream by dogs. And I have my way of seeing the world. And then another way is brought in. It's brought in through a male, but his mother has changed something. So all of us have inside of us an inner male and an inner female. Doesn't matter whether we are male or female. All of us have that inner yin and inner yang. And the goal is to be in harmony with this dance, so there's a balance in that. And a lot of what I've discovered dream work is teaching us is about ways to see where our inner male or inner female is out of balance. So if I'll just tell you briefly what they represent. The inner male is the part of us that is the doer. It's the active. And that activity has to do with the goal is bring what I came here to do into the world. Let me action fully what I came here to do in this life experience. And then the inner male is also about let me realize who I am fully. Let me remember and step into this connection with my own divinity. That's all on the male side. But the male can't do anything without the inner female. And the inner female is about heart. Let me create a loving environment where my inner male can do his work. Let me connect through the heart with everything. This is the female. And so the female is all about receptivity. So we're being invited in this dream to take our perception of the world. I'm looking through this camera, click, click, click. Oh, here's an image I like. I'm taking in information. And now for this time together, I want to invite you to draw from the inner female, the receptive side, and say, let's deactivate the autofocus. Let's turn off the part of you that already knows how you practice homeopathy, that already has a very clear opinion about Hahnemannian homeopathy or whatever. There are all different ways. Unda numbers, there are all different ways people practice homeopathy. And I'm going to say some things that have not been said very much in the homeopathic community, but we're on the edge of a big change. So I'm just going to come out of the closet a little bit with my beliefs about a different way to practice homeopathy, using intuition, using dreams, using all these sensitive ways of perceiving what our client's remedy is. And yes, repertorization can go in there too, but it used to be my main way. Someone, thank you, mute. All right, so let me just find my notes here. I didn't get to them because I was out of breath. All right, I have a case to tell you. I spoke to a man on the phone, and he had lots and lots of anger issues, and he was also wanting to stop smoking cannabis, which he was doing 24/7. And so we make an appointment. We just speak for a short amount of time on the phone, and then that night before I met him, I have a dream. And in the dream, I'm in a pond swimming, and there's a snapping turtle that comes up to me underwater, and he starts to snap at me, and I push away. I'm not doing anything to bother him, and there's this intensity to this snapping turtle as he's trying to bite me. And he actually gets a little nip in. It's a very intense dream, and I wake up thinking, what was that? And I'd gotten to the place where I do have what I call remedy dreams. I thought, is that a remedy dream? Now, I do know the pattern of testudines, but I don't think I know snapping turtle, the specifics of that. So I just made a little note in my pad. And what I do with remedy dreams is I just take some time. I go for a hike. I walk with this, and I go through my list of people I'm working with. I go, is anyone asking for this remedy? And then if I get a no for all my clients, I just end up taking it myself. And, Hahnemann did that. He says, whatever remedy you take, eventually it's something very powerful. It can teach you something. And I will stand by that. But there's some really uncomfortable experiences I've had. Homeopathy is safe, but it's not necessarily comfortable when you take an intense remedy or it's intense for you. All right, so I go in to meet this man the next day, and I'm doing an intake, and it's back, and this is one of those cases of never well since. The whole case turns on this experience where he was in a car accident, and it was about 5 years earlier, and in that car accident, the van that he was in rolled, and it rolled down a hill. And he had his seatbelt on, and he was in a passenger side window, side right next to a window that was open. And so the centrifugal force of the rolling, what happened as the van rolled, is his head was pushed out of the car. And then he would hit the ground, and he was constantly trying to pull his head back in, and it would turn around, and he hit his head again. So all he was trying to do was get his head in the window as this van rolled down the hill. Pretty miserable. So we continue to get more information, and anger is just a big issue. Ever since these head injuries, he's incredibly volatile and is just constantly attacking people. And cannabis is the only thing that kind of keeps it a little bit at bay. So as I'm working on that case, I thought, oh, wait a minute, I better read about snapping turtle. And reading about snapping turtle, the snapping turtle is one of the few turtles that evolved to a place where it can't pull its head into the shell. And so its survival strategy, its compensation for not being able to pull its head into the shell is what? Snapping. It actively goes for anything. It's on the aggressive with its snapping as a compensation mechanism for what most turtles would like to do is just go, safe. And in the proving of snapping turtle, there was a lot around vulnerability of the head. This client needed snapping turtle. Would I have come to that through repertorization? Would I have come to that through any other way? I feel like my higher self is always playing a game with me. And it's like, Malcolm, I'll leave you alone if I think you're going to get this remedy on your own. But sometimes someone is so in need that we're going to save you 6 months of experimenting with remedies. We're just going to give you a dream. Okay, will you pay attention? Here's a dream about it. Figure it out. And I still don't always get it right. And I still sometimes, I think I end up taking a remedy that was meant for someone else. But that's just what happens. So that was that one story. All right, so now I want to jump to a big kind of metaphysical question. But before that, I want to say that I would like to, we're going to talk about metaphysics. We're going to talk about things like why are we alive, and how does life work, and what are we here for? Because that all feeds into what we want to do as homeopaths. We have a remarkable career we've chosen because it's a career that invites us, if we do it fully, to actualize. It's our daily homework assignment. Become in full integrity with yourself, because that's the best way you're going to help others. And what are you trying to help others do? Come into full integrity with the truth of who they are. All right, so I am going to quote a couple of master teachers, and this is not a religious talk, but there are some good teachings from Buddha and from Jesus. So if you don't like hearing either of those referred to, just tune out, mute me for a moment when I'm talking about Jesus or Buddha. But they both have really good teachings that support homeopathy, okay? So have you noticed in this time of crisis, I was in wildfires this few months ago where I could not leave my tiny home for one solid week. The air quality outside my door was the highest in the world. White Salmon, Washington. I was in Lisle, Washington, just over. And so I got to experience this incredible contraction of like my entire world was a tiny home. And at one point I held my breath and went out and picked a cucumber and I ran out of air. So I was sipping dense smoke, running back to with my little cucumber I'd gotten from the garden. It was very intense. These are intense times. And so have you noticed, I find that my clients and people around me have gone one of two ways. They've either gone more into numbing, smoking, drinking, whatever they can do to take themselves out of their discomfort, or they've opened more to discovering what's happening inside. And I had a series of dreams last year telling me to tune out a lot of I was shown that they were basically going to be horror movies playing on the walls around me, that it was going to be a false horror, not as extreme as it appears, and that I was being told to go inwards. And inwards, there was another story that was happening. And I believe this very much to be true, that right now there's such a force of change on the planet that it's very uncomfortable. That force of change is available to us, each individual, for an inner transformation if we take advantage of it and step into it. And so this is what I want to talk about today with you. So here's just a general question. What is the whole purpose of life? What's the meaning of life? Can someone just unmute themselves and tell me why we're alive? What's the point of it? We got to start there, and then I can explain everything else.
To become whole for me.
Audrey, beautiful. To become whole.
Yes, all the pieces.
All the pieces. To bring them in and integrate them all, yes?
And accept them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So Audrey, what you just stated was a heart statement, okay? The mind says, we got to figure out these broken parts. Ugh, I don't like that. Got to get rid of that. This is the mind. Parse out and go for what we like and get rid of the rest. And the heart says, let me find all the disparate parts of me, and then let me reach out my arm and love them up and bring them in, because my heart has room for all of it. And when we do that with ourselves, what we do is we create a space where we can do it for our clients, where we can do it for the people that have come to be helped. Okay? Raise your hand if you've heard some really intense stories that make you feel like you could easily judge the person who's sitting across from you. Have any of you had that? I've heard some very intense stories of animal torture and things that I just, as a homeopath, I'm going like, okay, but then the images are in my head that night, and so what we need to do is have that heart space where whatever we hear, we go, wow, this person has a really big story, going, wow, that's a really big story. And then I focus on, boy, I wonder if I'm going to be the one that gets to give the spark to help them move through this story. Maybe it won't be me, but I'll give it my very best shot. But there's a place where I hold my heart space for them, no matter what messy place they're in. And I'm only able to do that because I did it for me. I took myself through some really uncomfortable, embarrassing, ego-centered things that I did that I had to just sit with. I didn't have to, but I made the choice to. And that's what brought me to a clear place that allows me to help people as well as I do now. All right, so I went exploring about 10 years ago. I was having a pattern of feeling unworthy. And I had a dream where the head of one of my ex-partners was telling me how disappointed he was of me. I'm a gay man. And so he was telling me how terribly disappointed he was, and I really let him down. And then his head turned around, he turned into the head of my other partner. And then that person told me how much I'd let him down. And then that head turned around and turned into my father, saying what a disappointment I was as a son. And so then I woke up and I thought, oh gosh, this is happening to me. Like when a story repeats in a client's life, we know where that story's coming from, right? It's the person in the mirror. So that's when I kind of went and did a retreat to find out what is this unworthiness that plays through all of it. And in my searching, that's when I really went into dream work. It's also when I went into some plant spirit medicine. I worked with ayahuasca for a while, and ayahuasca is a powerful teacher. And it's you want to take in the information, and then you want to work with it day to day in your life. Some of the current trends on plant medicine is, oh, I go once a month and I do ayahuasca. It's like go once and then work for several months or 6 months on what you learned in that one session. The integration and grounding in the teachings are very important. Well, then I was invited to, in 2015, I believe, I was invited to Costa Rica. There was a new healing center that was opening that was considering using homeopathy with their clients. So I went, they flew me in, and there was an African shaman there talking about the African root iboga, which I'd never heard of. Now there's a well-known aspect of iboga, which is called ibogaine, and it's really becoming well-known because it resets the neural synapses of someone who's addicted to heroin, crystal meth, whatever the addiction, especially opiates. Iboga goes in a series of a few days, resets the neural synapses, and you're no longer addicted. But it also can take you to moments in your childhood and show you a place where everything went terribly wrong. So I was invited to have an experience with iboga. And I said, I don't have any addictions, other than chocolate-covered raisins. And the shaman said, well, you can go for a psycho-spiritual journey. And I was like, what is that? And he told me how there was the opportunity for me to meet one's soul. And the soul supposedly looks exactly like you and will come in. There's a short window in this altered state where it's just a 10-minute window where you can call in the soul of anyone living or dead, I was told, and you can call in your own soul. Well, I'm someone that likes to see things for myself, and that sounded ridiculous to me, but I was being invited to do it, so I did it. Very, very uncomfortable process. I do not endorse casually taking the African root iboga, but I also will tell you, I met my soul, and my soul changed my understanding of life and the world. So what I was taught basically was, I was told it's now time that every word out of my mouth be impeccably the truth, and that all of my actions in the world match my awareness of my own truth, that I could never fudge anything again. I could not break a homeopathic intake into 2 separate billings for the insurance company because they would take that amount. If I want to break the intake into 2 separate billings, I have to do them on 2 separate days. Like, that's the impeccability I was being called to. And so I was excited. I was like, wow, I have an assignment. Because what I was told was my ability to manifest in the world is directly tied to how truthful I am with everything I say and do. So there's a kind of coherence that comes from the cloud of Malcolm that tells the truth most of the time, but sometimes just for to avoid embarrassment. Like I said to my soul, I said, give me an example. Because he said I did something called prideful lies. I said, give me an example of a prideful lie. Like, what are you talking about? He said, well, last week, when that difficult client called up and asked if you'd sent her remedy because it hadn't arrived, and you said that you would need to check into it and you'd get back to her, when actually, and I said, yeah, I know. The remedy was sitting on my desk in front of me. I forgot to mail it out. But this woman's very difficult. She was building a case against me. I didn't want to give her one more. And that's where my soul said, that's a prideful lie. You lied to save face. So I went back into my world saying, like, okay, now I just have to tell the truth. I can do that. And then was the stumbling block, because what I realized was I didn't at that time really always know what my truth was. And that's when I uncovered the can of worms of so often my truth was my father's way of being. There's this whole new study of inherited family trauma, and it's very, very powerful work. And we deal with inherited family trauma all the time as homeopaths. But when we're a little kid, what we do energetically is we just imprint. Dad, okay, you are my role model for my inner male. I got it. Mom, you are my role model for my inner female. I got it. So then it's playing. It's playing quietly in the background or not so quietly. And that's what happened to me. I suddenly started really looking at everything and sometimes just saying, wait a minute, this isn't my belief. And that's where the dreams came in. So does anyone have a thought about this? There is a mechanism in the homeopathic process that is heralded by the teachings of Buddha and the teachings of Jesus. And it's a very, very powerful way to heal. Can anyone have anything come to mind? It's a way that homeopathy works in the system that is transformative. And what is that action? Anyone got a feedback on that? It's the healing crisis, yes? So as homeopaths, we know that sometimes the most efficient way to let go of something that's not serving is to what? Turn the volume up on it. Really? Really? Is this what you believe? And homeopathy settles someone in. It puts them in a soup of the broken pattern. And what does that do? It's transformative. It's uncomfortable. Ugh, I'm still with this. Oh my God. I'm at day 14 and everyone is judging me. Whatever that is, we also know, like, hang tight. Let's see what happens, because there's that pop and clearing. So here is just from Buddha. The very first talk that Buddha gave when he became awakened was about the right path. And the way he describes the right path is it does not avoid or deny suffering. So this is he became awakened, and the first thing he talked about was, let me talk about suffering. So suffering is just something that everyone is going to have. It's a part of life. And so what you're being invited to do to awaken is be okay with the suffering. And just by not denying it, not avoiding it, you allow a direct confrontation of the suffering, which allows you to overcome it. And then you just keep learning and evolving through these bouts of, oh, here I am in the suffering. And instead of saying, no, I don't want this, you say, Yeah, okay, let me suffer. Let me go for a hike and suffer by myself. Let me really suffer into whatever's happening right now. And so then Jesus's version on this, it's from the Gospel of Thomas. And Thomas is the disciple that didn't make it in the Bible. And Thomas's words are very specific. He's talking about Jesus as an enlightened master. So it's all about the kingdom of heaven is within. It's that idea of Christ consciousness. It doesn't just for Christians. Christ consciousness is that awareness of one's own divinity, okay? And so here's what Jesus said at the very beginning of his all his instructions that come through the book of Thomas, the Gospel of Thomas. He said, seek until you find. And when you find, you will be disturbed. And then you'll be astonished and you'll rule over the all. All right, so what does homeopathy do? Or what do we do as homeopaths? We seek until we find a pattern that's behind the scenes of this person's life, and it's causing a distortion in everything they do. And so, okay, we found it. So now there's only one of us here, so now's the time to be disturbed about it. So this is where humanity wants to just reach for something that makes them feel better. This is where Western medicine got a little lost with palliation, yes? Seek until you find, and when you find, don't take a pill to feel better. When you find it, be disturbed. That's the assignment. Be disturbed. Be with the suffering. We have the best medicine on the planet for being with the suffering and the healing that comes after it. So when you're with the suffering, you're not supposed to figure it out. That's the head part. Be with the suffering. Be disturbed. And what happens next? Not right away sometimes. Then you'll be astonished and you'll rule over the all. Okay? That's the breakthrough. Last year, I had a dream where in the dream I was holding the book that was my offering to the world. It was my treatise. It was what I came to share as a person. And in the dream, I'm so proud of it. I finished it, and I read the title of the book, and I just love the title. It's perfect. And then I wake up from that dream, and I think, what was that title? What was the title of my opus? And then I remembered the title, and I was kind of disappointed. But over time, I've really come to love the title of this book that I dreamed. And here's the title. Are you ready? Take out the numb, sit with the bum, then in comes the yum. So what is take out the numb? Well, I've actually designed something from my dreams and from working with clients that I call the listening diet. And the listening diet says, identify what are the things in your life that you do, that you reach for when you're feeling uncomfortable. Identify them and stop doing them. You can do it in my night school class, 12 weeks. Okay, we're all going to take out the numb. We're going to do the listening diet. So take out the numb, and then what happens? Whatever upsets you in your day-to-day life that you're used to just canceling out with that little chewy gummy bear of calcium, or whatever little thing you do to feel better in the moment. I just love chocolate, and I'm very conservative. I just have a few pieces of chocolate throughout the day, okay? You are numbing regularly. So take out the numb, sit with the bum, be with what it is, and then in comes the yum. That is just that pop of like, oh my gosh, I just got to the bottom of a behavior pattern, of a belief I've had my whole life. And I've had it my whole life, and it wasn't mine. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Mom. This is the process. So, if we take this process and celebrate it, then homeopathy goes to the top of all practices, and dreams come to the surface as the master parable tellers. Because what is the source of our dreams? Well, I'll tell you, because I feel like I got it firsthand. That character that I met in an altered state on an African route, my soul says, I'm the dream master. I am teaching you things every single night. But because we as humans have what's called free will, we get to do our own thing as much as we want. I'm doing my own thing. You know what? I just really love velvet. And I'm going to have a house filled with red velvet. I'm going to make a lot of money to support my velvet habit. Where your soul is there in the background, totally silent, letting you build your velvet house with a lot of money that you make on Wall Street. No comment. But the moment we start to ask and say, hey, do you have a dream for me? And you know what? I'm not going to be eating sugar for a while. I'm stopping sugar, and I'm actually going plant-based. I'll tell you what the listening diet is in a minute. But when you change your diet, a sensitivity opens. Now, there's another book in me, and the title is The Duality Spell of Sugar. It's sweet and separate. The duality spell of sugar. Sugar is this unbelievable numbing force. Now, you've all, as homeopaths, experienced, you give someone a good remedy, and sometimes one of the ways they react to this remedy that's kicking their butt in the best way is they're suddenly eating lots of simple carbs, chips or desserts, okay? So they are putting the brakes on, but not in a way that's really useful. So this whole thing that happens with just numbing, when you take that out and you just sit with what is, then comes the awareness of true self by dropping the pretense, the aspects of us that aren't true. So the way a dream will do this is a dream will say, Malcolm, there's something you're doing in your life that you think is okay, and it's actually throwing you way off. And so then it will give me a dream of that thing that I'm doing, but what's that technique? It turns up the volume and it creates an exaggerated story that plays. So one client came to me and said, I had this dream. It was just weird. It was me acting in a way I would never behave. She said, I was at the office and I was a spy and I was photocopying illegal documents and I was keeping them hidden and I was having to make sure no one knew that this, and it was awful. It was a terrible feeling, but I woke up and just thought, well, that's ridiculous. I think I'm dreaming someone else's dream because that's not me. Okay, the volume was turned up. So I said, we have a situation where it sounds like an office setting, and what we want to look for is that feeling you had of deceiving and being a spy and doing something illegal. That's the exaggerated version. So can you look and can you find the very, very quiet wisp of that that's playing in your life? Because the part of you that's created a dream for you about this has taken the precise vibration of what you're doing and turned up the volume, but it's still exactly the same energy. And she thought, and she said, my boss will lie to close a deal. And then he hands the deal to me, and I have to perpetuate the lie as I complete the paperwork, as I get the client to sign all this stuff. So I said, what's that like? She said, it feels terrible, but it's my job. That's my boss. I can't do that. So at that point I say, all right, well, the good news is there's two kinds of timeline with dreams. I mean, with life. There's the chronos kind of time, tick, 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 one moment after the next. And then there's the kairos time of dreams. And kairos time is a window of opportunity. So when you have a dream about something, your higher self is saying, hello, right now there's something that I'd like to draw your attention to, because right now is the time to make a change on this. And if you don't do anything, the window closes. And there may be another time, 6 months, 2 years later, but the practice is to get in that place where you bring your dream in to someone you're working with, or you just learn how to crack the code yourself, and you say, oh, this is a Kairos moment. There's some shady behavior I'm doing in my life. I need to find it. And the best time to do this is now. So I told that to my client, and I said, you are being asked to make a change in this. If you were not going to worry about, if you knew that your higher self wanted you to do something now, what would the action step be? And that's part of the game that I play with people around dreams. You figure out what it means, and then you take an action step. And so she said, oh, well, the action step would be, I guess I would just tell my boss that if he lies about something, I'm not going to complete those deals. He has to complete those deals on his own. I will only complete deals where everything that I do with the client is true. I said, what would that be like? She said, oh my God, I think I'd get fired. I said, I think you should take a chance. Go talk to your boss. You've had the dream. But the phrase I like to use with people is, when you've had a dream about something, you can take it to the bank. You had a dream about it. Take it to the bank. Go talk to your boss. She called me up just ecstatic because she no longer has to finish. When he lies, and he knows when he lies, and sometimes she just said, and I just said, this is one of those cases, I can't complete this one. But he's on board with it. And she has just, her shoulders are lighter, her life is opened just a little bit more. That's the kind of thing that happens with a dream. So, we have chosen to be here in a human form. On some level, we chose to be here now with the wildfires, with the coronavirus, with the crazily divisive political system, with the news spewing stuff that's just not helpful in any way to who we are. We have chosen to be here for that. And you've also chosen to be here for that with awareness of a system of medicine that has so much of the tools that people are going to need now more than ever. So one of the games of coming into one's heart is to get comfortable with this idea that, as the Buddha said, life is about suffering, and the sufferings, the journeys of suffering that you're going to experience have been set up for you. They're teachings. You're being invited to go through it. And yet what so many of us do, because there's a part of us, there's the wise higher self, and then there's the superego part that's more like the animal self. And that animal self, like regular animals, have this sense of, I'm going to move towards pleasure and away from pain. Towards pleasure, away from pain. And you can read, lots of books will promote about just go for your pleasure. Just what feels right to you. Just do it. I'm poly because I just like sex. And I am going to have more of it. More is more, and it feels good. That's not me. I am monogamous, but that's one of the mindsets that's out there. And so what we find is moving away from pain and towards pleasure works to a certain degree for a while, and then crash. And then something happens where it all kind of unravels. The dominoes fall. So from that place of the ego, the superego is constantly deciding what it wants to experience and what it doesn't want to experience. And the superego does not want change, because change is scary. And change can also bring you back to an uncomfortable experience you had in the past. Remember that time, Malcolm, when you embarrassed yourself, you got up and talked about something and you didn't know your facts, and it was humiliating. So don't ever get up and talk to anyone about anything. That's what my superego would have me do. So a lot of times I have to hear my superego, and I have to go, thank you for that input. And then I make a choice from my heart. And the heart says, what's the edge of your comfort zone? The heart says, what's that thing that's happening right now that you don't want to happen? And how can you not only say yes to it, how can you love it? How can you love this? So this is a change. I work with people, and in my 12-week class, I'm taking everyone to that place of going from, oh, yeah, I want that moment. No, I don't want that moment. Chocolate. Oh, I don't want that moment. I'm watching TV. I'm watching the news. Ugh, I don't want to be here. This is a terrible thing. I'm just still watching it. I keep watching the news. So all of this is about getting to that place where you just have a heart-to-heart with yourself, and you say, oh, wait a minute, I signed up to be here. How can I do the Buddha thing? How can I do the Jesus thing and say yes to every moment that's happening to me? What would that be like? Most of us don't know what that's like. And it's quite surprising to see what happens. I have a class of 27 people right now who are all on the listening diet. Not all of them. There are a few that decided not to. Some people just are not up for letting go of those numbing things, and that's okay. Everyone's on their own timeline. But the folks who are on the listening diet fully, they've become these sensitive flowers, and their dreams are coming in with messages, and they're perceiving things in their life. They're feeling the emotions that come, and they're processing them through. The only thing you really need to evolve are feeling your feelings fully. And when you feel your feelings fully, you become more aware of the reality of, I am a crest of a wave on an ocean of humanity. I'm a little crest of a wave. And if something that comes in, I start to feel it. If I say, oh, I don't want to feel that, oh, I don't want to feel that, oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to feel this, and I'm going to struggle with this for a very long time. But if something is coming in, and I'm a crest on a wave, and I go, oh, how can I love this? Whoa, whoa, oh. It's transmuted. What just happened? Okay, what's next? So this is what we're being invited to do with every single moment in our life. When all the power went off and I was going to be late for you this morning, I could have gone into a swivet. And instead I just started laughing. I said, big adventure, we're going on through the snow, here we go. And I had a great time coming to you this morning. So here is my own little quote I've come up with around suffering. And it's come from sitting with people doing homeopathy for years. Suffering is what occurs in the gap between what is happening in the present moment and what our personality wants to be happening in the present moment. Okay? There's what's happening. And you know what? The divine has orchestrated every single moment that's happening for you. No mistakes. It's not like what it seems to happen is everything was going great for me, and then God looked away, and then God looked back. Oh no, I forgot about Malcolm. He needed power this morning. That's not the way it is. The divine goes, let's take your power out. Malcolm, you like adventures. Okay, here we go. Suffering is what occurs in the gap between what is happening in the present moment and what our personality wants to be happening in the present moment. And our personality is all the aspects. We are special. We are troubled. We are wounded. We are smarter. All the things that separate us out from everyone else. I had a very good teaching dream where I went to a Buddhist temple, and I'm a Buddhist. I chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo every morning. And I go, and the temple is crowded. It's already started. Everyone's chanting. So I go up to the balcony. And there in the balcony, there's a man working with these colored strips of fabric that are all around the temple. And I'm aware in the dream that this man built the temple. And I nod to him, and I'm going towards a seat. And he said, oh, I'm so glad you're here. Let me tell you what the project is. We're going to be taking, I stopped him and said, no, I'm not here to help you. I'm here to chant. And so I continue to walk towards my seat. And so the guy picks up a chart, clipboard, and he says, well, fine, I'll just wait for Malcolm Smith to come and help me. And I said, what? And I had to take the clipboard and look, and there's my name on the sign-up sheet. I said, okay, I'm Malcolm Smith. What are we doing? And so then he explains to me that we're taking all the colored panels all around the inside of the temple, and we're changing them out for white. That was the dream. Okay, so that's the process that you're all invited to do to become good homeopaths. So find the different colors of the way you have been your whole life. It's just, I'm obnoxious, I'm pushy, I'm rushed, I'm bossy, I'm broken, I'm sad, I'm shy, all those are the colors of your personality. And what's the color of white? White is the color that holds all the other colors. And that's where we're being invited to go. And that's the place where we can help all the different colors of people's personalities that come into us. Even the really obnoxious ones. We're going to treat them all the same. If you remember chemistry class, there's something called an activation energy. And I say the activation energy in a chemical equation, that's you have two chemicals and they're put together and there's a reaction that you want to happen, but they're just sitting together. And then remember what you have to do. You put on your goggles and you have to light the Bunsen burner, and then you hold the two chemicals over the heat in a crucible. And then they get to a certain activation energy and boom, color change, transmutation. The equation goes to the end. Well, all of our clients and us have these things within us that are not getting the activation energy they need to come to completion. One of the things I had was my dad was a Presbyterian minister, and he was used to just using, the rules didn't apply to him. My dad would just kind of make up his own rules because he had God on his side, and he was pushy and he was persuasive, and everyone would join in and help him. And so I was kind of proud of how pushy and persuasive I was, but it was all for a good cause. But I would run over people. I was out of integrity as I pushed. I helped to found the Homeopathic Symposium, and I did not have the awareness of a way to come with gentleness into the homeopathic community. I steamrolled in. It's like, I called my video because I was filming everyone and getting great results. I showed my video at a group of long-time homeopaths, and the name of my video was Glimpses of the Miraculous. And I was just like so full of myself. And so I didn't see it for years and years and years. And then I stopped eating sugar. I backed off on my diet, and I just sat with the discomfort of things that unfolded around me. And as I did that, the activation energy built, and then I was astonished and ruled over the all. And so that last phrase, you'll be astonished and rule over the all, that's this place of sovereignty. And sovereignty is where you just sit in owning all of it. I own all of it. If I'm having a negative experience, it's not because that person's being really mean to me, that person misused me. It's because I have in the web of my belief system a belief that is going to play out for me until I learn it, until I understand that it's not authentically me. And so that belief we have sprays out like a web. And then people come into our lives, they get caught in our web of belief, and they play it back to us. And that's the way life is acting like a homeopathic remedy. Let me show you what you're doing. You're turning up the volume. Let me show you what you're doing. we are at such a powerful time on the planet, and we're finally at a time where the default mechanism to explain something is the scientific way. Now, there's still people holding on to that, but you know what? Science can't adequately touch what happens with homeopathy. So I no longer try to give what's happening on the cellular level. I don't go there with homeopathy when I'm talking about it. I tell it as a kind of story medicine. So I've refined my elevator speech for what I do in terms of a homeopath, and I'm going to give it to you now. I put this in my solo performance piece. This is the way I describe what I do. I help people uncover what I call their survival strategy, which is a compensation for some way that they feel broken or flawed. And then I find a substance in nature that has a survival strategy that's like theirs, and I give it to them in a homeopathic remedy. The remedy acts like a tuning fork. And if it's a match, amplifies both the person's survival strategy and their broken feeling. And now that it's playing so loudly, the authentic self, who the person really is, sees the pattern afresh and thinks, why would I believe this? This isn't me. And in that moment, they disengage from both the survival strategy and the broken feeling, which then, with continued treatment, just drop away. That's what I do. I thought that for someone to get the results I'm getting, and they're good in my homeopathic practice, that people were going to have to go and work with ayahuasca, and you have to go and do iboga. I need to meet your soul, and then you'll also need to meditate a lot. You know, you've got years of work ahead of you. I never said that, but I also wasn't teaching this because I just thought, yeah, I don't know if it's going to work for anyone else. But now I'm on my second class, and this is available to everyone on the planet. So I'm week 6 in a 12-week class, and we are having miraculous changes. And the biggest factor to open people up to getting messages, because I have a lot of people that come in and say, I don't dream. I rarely dream. I haven't had a dream in a year. That's one woman who came to my class from France. I haven't had a dream in a year. And I said, come to the class. And so then I said, also, before you go to bed, ask yourself, say, do you have a message for me? Just ask. And then when you wake up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, or you wake up in the morning, lay perfectly still, don't move, and just ask, what was I dreaming? So 2 days later, I got an email from her. She said, I dreamed one word, betrayal. And that was the beginning of a beautiful unfolding. Now she's having these epic dreams. So yes, you need to be able to decode the language of dreams. Dog is heart. What's bathroom? Bathroom is a place you go where you've eaten your food, you've gotten what you can, you've nourished what you can from that food, and then you go in the bathroom and you release the waste that has nothing to serve you anymore. Bathroom is a place you go to let go of what does not serve, no longer serves. If you go into the bathroom and the toilet is overflowing, or you can't find the bathroom, or you've unfortunately just had a big dump underneath the dining table at a crowded house, there's all different ways that we get comments, feedback saying, hello, there's something in your life, there's a behavior, there's a belief you're carrying on, holding on to, that no longer serves. It needs to go in the toilet, flush. You want a dream where the bowel movement goes into the toilet and you flush. Anything other than that is inviting investigation. So there's simple, what I've learned with the night school process is learning the language of dreams is a little bit like learning sign language. So here's the analogy. If I taught a classroom of people 12 different signs to use for sign language, and then we brought in a deaf person and said to that deaf person, these are the 12 signs that this class can speak so far, would the deaf person be able to talk to that class? Absolutely, right? So what happens is, I give the 15 symbols, and then suddenly everyone's higher self is saying, and I ask them to look over the 15 symbols before they go to bed at night. So that higher self is right behind your eyes, and it's going, oh, you're giving me a cheat sheet. You want me to use these? And that night they have a bathroom dream, a dog dream, and the teaching begins. So it's just amazing how quickly people come online with this. Mara, are you available? Do you have any insights, anything you want to share, or anyone else that's currently in my class that's on this call? Do you have anything to share with the group about what's happening to you just going through this experience? I'd love to hear. Yeah.
Sure, I'll say something, Malcolm. I don't know if you can hear me well. My connection's bad.
Yes, no, it's good.
Okay. I would say, so this has been an amazing process in terms of connecting me with myself. I thought I was signing up for a class that I would use with homeopathy, and I feel like I signed up for a therapy group instead. But that's been like a beautiful, wonderful surprise for me, because it's really helped me to take some of the things that I've learned about myself in the past and integrate them even further as I go forward in my life now. And I think during this challenging time, to be more connected within has really served me. So I just think that the work Malcolm's doing is really, it's really cool. And I'm very interested and want to keep learning more. But the best part is learning more about me, because that's what's going to ground my work better than anything. Thanks.
Mara, did you find that the breaking the code of the dreams, that they were surprisingly understandable within the first few weeks, that you were starting to get a handle on them in a way you hadn't before?
Yes, I think right at the very beginning, especially when you handed out that cheat sheet, of course that night I had dreams that were right off of it. And I'm remembering my dreams now because I've been recording them every night, whereas in the past I hadn't been remembering my dreams. And now I see the themes. It's like certain things show up in my dreams very regularly. So those are the clues and seeds to move further.
Beautiful. Thank you. Something else that happens, let me just tell you a little bit about my dream practice, because it's the most powerful aspect of my spiritual practice. So I like to sleep for 8 hours, and I time myself so that I get 8.5 hours, because I leave an extra half hour to accommodate for waking up in the middle of the night, laying still, remembering the dream. And then I reach over and I take my iPhone, which I have on airplane mode, and I speak into it. I record my dream. If you have someone next to you, you go into the bathroom and you record. The great thing about recording on a phone is then the next day you can go back and you can play it back and write out your dreams. And I really invite people to make a practice of it. Light a candle every day. And the time, light a candle, say a little prayer, and listen to the messages that have come from your higher self. There's a phrase, there's a saying I say in my solo performance piece where I end the show by saying, treat every dream as if the clouds had parted and the hand of God had come down holding a sacred scroll of information for you on your path. What if you did that with every dream you had? You would be shocked by what comes in, by what happens. Now, I get regular information. Oh, so the thing about the digital recording is in the morning when you're transcribing the dream, you also go to the end of the dream and you read the digital time code. There are 6 numbers there: minutes, seconds, milliseconds. I will be talking about numerology, and numerology is a very useful way. Numbers are vibration. And so if you want to know the vibration of anything, look at a number that's associated with that. So the exact time code of a dream will give it a stamp. You add up all the numbers and, oh, this comes down to a 7. This is a dream about something that needs to be completed. Oh, this comes down to a number 1, ending of one cycle and the beginning of a new one. Oh, this is 5. 5 is about getting comfortable with big expansion and big contraction. It's this, breathing. It's change. It's the change meister. Oh, number 8. This is about abundance and flow in the material world. So you can get a clue about what your dream is about simply by looking at the numerology time code on the recording. So I've got this whole process where I work with my dreams every day, and the kind of dream that will really serve me beautifully is I had a dream where I was in a class, and the teacher was handing out all the quizzes for that semester. And she wrote on the board, she said, this is the highest score in the class. It was a 98.5. And she wrote another number, this is the lowest score in the class. Very low score. So she's calling out people's names, and she calls my name out, and I go up to her, and do you remember did you ever have teachers who, when they're handing out a test, if you didn't get a good score, they fold it with their fingers and hand it to you folded so other people, but you can kind of see the red marks through. She folds my quizzes and hands it to me. And I go back to my desk, I open it up. I have the lowest score in the class. I'm just like, what? Because I'm smart. So I wait till everyone leaves and I go up to her and said, what happened? She said, Malcolm, you didn't turn in 2 quizzes. You were doing great, and then you just didn't turn in 2 quizzes. You got 2 zeros. Everyone else at least turned in the material. So, what a beautiful dream. I woke up going, uh-oh, where have I not turned in 2 quizzes? And with a little bit of research, it didn't take much, I realized, oh, I haven't finished a part of my taxes that must be finished. Of course. Thank you. But then I didn't understand because there were 2 quizzes. More digging, and something that I had just blocked out was I filed with taxes on the Homeopathic Symposium, and a couple years ago, they changed the filing deadline for businesses or something. They made it the 15th of April, and it used to be May 15th. So I filed that 1 month late. But my mom has dementia. I was helping with her. I was there in Maryland. I did everything to get it in on time, and I was a month late. And the penalty was almost $10,000 because of there were different shareholders, and there's a penalty per shareholder, $10,000 penalty. And I had this window when I could appeal it, and that dream of the 2 quizzes was 4 days before the window closed on appeals. That dream saved me just about $10,000. So there's this idea that, well, what dreams access are just another part of you that you always knew that, you just didn't remember it. We could say that dream with the quizzes was in that category, but I've also had dreams that have given me information I did not know. I did not have the turtle. I did not know about snapping turtle the day before I met this person. Now, maybe just from the phone call, some part of me, but I didn't know the pattern of snapping turtle. So there is a way that we access information that is part of the whole cohesive network of humanity and more. That is accessible to us. So I've always thought it was interesting, the conundrum that world leaders talk about when they're trying to make a decision that's right for their country, and there are all these different factions that are wanting something different. How do those people possibly make a decision that is the right one? And what I discovered through my dream work is that each one of us has one responsibility in terms of knowing what's right and wrong. It's aligning and tuning into what is right and wrong for you. And if you get to that place where you're listening to your dreams on a daily basis, and you're actioning, and you're walking through uncomfortable things, and you're not doing things to numb. In fact, you stop cannabis, you stop alcohol, you just pay attention to the preciousness of every sweet moment that's coming. When you stop sugar, suddenly the sweetness of life opens up. When you stop that spiking of the blood sugar in the brain with little sugar treats. So when you know what's right for you, this is where the magic happens. You make a choice that you know in your heart is for your highest good, and the good news is it's automatically the highest good for everyone. So what this work is doing...
Where's that bag?
Uh-oh. Mara, are you still on? Can you unmute? No, someone's unmuted. So you're being called in. If you feel you want to work with your dreams and get on a listening diet, what will happen is you then become available as a spokesperson for humanity, because the divine has jobs it wants done all the time. And it's looking for who out there is paying attention. Who's listening? Malcolm, can you do this? Oh, Malcolm said yes. Give him everything he needs to do this job. Malcolm said he would do the night school project. Let's give it to him. But if we say no, or if we just linger, let me think about it. Oh, I had that epic dream last year. I really should do something. Kairos moment. Window closes, and the window opens to someone else. I used to live in Los Angeles, and it was in the film community and acting community, and I heard writers talk about how these epic stories that they had that were just kind of backburnered, and then they see the precise context of their story appear on the screen. Because that aha moment of this would be a great story, if it's not actioned, it goes to someone else. I had a dream that I didn't understand what it meant at the time, and I just recently stumbled on it. And here's the dream. I was at an activities fair, and there was a man there who I somewhat knew, but not very well. And the man motioned me over, and he said, "Would you be interested in buying one of my kits and building it and then giving it back to me?" And I said, "Oh, you get this right. You want me to buy one of your kits, build it, and then give it back to you and not get anything?" He said, "Yeah, because if you give it back to me, then I'll be able to show others how it was done. I'll inspire others to do it too." So I woke up and I thought, oh, wow. These breadcrumbs that I get through my dreams, these little prompts. And when I'm writing, all I can ever do in writing my book is I write the bad version. I write the version that makes me cringe, like, ugh, okay, that's the framework for what I want to tell, but it's not done very elegantly. And then I pick up the refinements in the middle of the night. Next morning, I pick up the clues that let me, oh, this has to be moved around. And then bit by bit, I see the kit getting built. And so why I have to buy the kit? What does that mean? Well, you have to buy the kit because you have to invest your energy. You have to decide, I really want to do this. I want to go for this. I want to realize my full self. I want to be in complete integrity with who I am, and I want to let go of those parts of me that aren't serving me or the people around me. I want to do this. So that's the investment. You change your diet. You actually stop eating sugar. You stop putting honey in your tea. How could that make any difference? It makes a big difference. So that was the dream. You buy the kit, you invest in it, you build the kit, and then what do? You give it back because there's no attachment. Once I've written the book and the book is out there, I'll buy another kit because it's really fun. Now there's a part of us, many of us, that are a little shy of being too spiritual. Because if you become too spiritual, then you're going to have your freedom taken away, right? It's going to be all about responsibility and duty, and you've taken on this hard thing that now you're doing the rest of your life. Oh my gosh. That's actually not the way it works. When you're playing the game of listening, what's my highest good? Is it my highest good to say yes to this project? And then you say yes from that knowing place, then it's a joy. You can't get enough of this game you're playing of like, I don't know what's next, but I'm saying yes. Oh, here's another piece of the kit. Oh, and it goes here. Nice. The kit's almost done. I'm almost ready to hand it back to say, look what I built just by listening, just by paying attention. So the way I set it up with this listening diet is it's very conservative for the first month because I've taken a series of dreams and information and what I've watched work with other clients, and I've created a very strict diet. No sugar, reducing simple carbs. Yes, you can have lentils, but don't eat brown rice, eat wild rice. Don't eat pasta that's processed, eat spaghetti squash. I've got a bunch of trade-outs. And I also ask people to step away from meat because again and again I see when people are listening and the dreams are coming in, meat gets taken out. I had a dream where I went to my meditation room and it was covered with dead animals. Take 20 minutes dragging the dead animals out of the meditation room so I could meditate. So what I say is follow my listening diet for a month, just for a month. And that will activate and open your dreams. And you will be dreaming directly from your higher self. And so then create your own listening diet. After a month, add grass-fed beef back in. See what happens. Add honey back into your tea. See what happens. So this is the way you get to do it. My diet for a month, and then create your own. And have a diet that you'll use the rest of your life because your higher self created it for you. I saw a client recently, I had a follow-up, and I asked him how his listening diet was going. He said, it was going great until 2 nights ago. I ate a small bowl of ramen noodles. He said, and then I had a dream about it. I said, what? What was the dream? He said, I dreamed that my house had been wired with sugar detectors, and I went over and I saw one on the counter, and I hold my hand out and I set off the sugar detector, and an alarm's flashing, going off sounding in the house, and then these sprinklers pop down from the ceiling and spray cola syrup over everything. All right, so that's not a subtle message. And I see that message happen again and again. Those little tiny things. I just had a bowl of ramen noodles. A bowl of ramen noodles, when you're in this refining process of discovering who you are, of saying yes to every single moment, that bowl of ramen noodles short circuits the continuity of whatever you're exploring. So it's like you might as well spray cola syrup over the whole house of you. That's what a bowl of ramen noodles is. The same person went off sugar again, and then got kind of frustrated with the process and was having big dreams. And so then he started eating sweets again. Just a lot of simple carbs, chips, a lot of chips. And so then he had a dream that he was standing at the edge of a lake and he had handcuffs on and he went swimming in the lake and he drowned. So in dreams, water is the unconscious. And when you're exploring your dreams and doing them on the listening diet, you're able to move through the fearful things that you can't see underneath the surface of the water. And if you're eating sugar, you have handcuffs on, go for a swim. You'll drown. Were we at the end of 90 minutes? Is this a time to say goodbye?
Sure. Any questions?
There are quite a few things in the chat.
Yes, okay. I didn't even know where to look at chat.
Can you see the chat, Malcolm?
Holy cow, yes. All right, do we have a few minutes? I'll say goodbye to anyone that has to sign off, and otherwise, let's answer these. Send us the words to the song. Yes, that will go to Barbara. Student here. Good, okay. Do you think a lot of pot smoking causes a person to prove it? Yes. Yes, for sure. A lot of pot smoking, oh my gosh, that closes your heart. Look at the whole Homeopathic family. Constriction around the heart. This is the center that communicates with everything. Cannabis ends up in a fearful place in your mind. The THC takes over your cortisol response. I can't say enough about how challenging cannabis is in terms of getting in the way of your own evolving. I have an 8-minute, you can do a search, 8-minute YouTube video on the side effects of marijuana. And the Australian prison system, at least one area of it, uses that video with their inmates. And they get a cluster of inmates together and a psychotherapist, and they play that video about cannabis of me. This is why you don't want to use it. And then they discuss it. So that felt really good. That felt like a kit that I built and handed off. All right, so let's see. Chocolate is just, that's all someone says. Chocolate. Would you describe a case with severe pathology that a dream helps you find the curative remedy? Severe pathology, a dream helps find the curative remedy. Okay, I've got a case of someone who was just her partner for life. She's a gay woman, and her partner, and they'd been in the newspaper together, and she'd come out to the world, and she was quite outspoken. Her partner decided she didn't want to be in a relationship anymore, and her mind went into a loop of just, she couldn't get out of her mind, thinking, and her life was over, and blackness and everything went south in her life, and she couldn't even function, and she was turning inward, and she didn't know what to do next, and she wasn't suicidal, but it was very, very extreme. And my colleague who's learning this technique with me was sitting in on the case, and I don't remember a lot more of the details of the case, but what I can tell you is my colleague, Dr. Emily Steele, she had a dream the following night, and in the dream, she had a goose. And the goose, she loved and knew that she would be with the goose for the rest of her life. They were soulmates. And all the words in the dream that she had about that goose, this client had about the woman that had left her. The precise wording. So we're like, we need to look at goose. Well, we prescribed Greylag goose to this woman, and it brought her into the integrity of herself. and she fell in love with herself, and she released this relationship, and they've continued to be together and are kind of re-navigating. The woman didn't completely leave, and once all the neediness and attachment and I'm nothing without you, once that lifted, then the other woman was more interested in staying in the relationship. So that's just a short, simple story, but Goose, we would not have found Goose without the dream. I would love to see the cheat sheet too. Yeah, you know what? I asked my higher self, can I give the cheat sheet? And I was told it's not that it's proprietary, but it takes more of an explanation. And it's not something to just have and pass around. There's an explanation for all of it. So it'll come out in different ways over time. People will have it, and certainly it will be in my book that will come out, and you're welcome to get it on the class. Recording of this session, is that available, Barbara?
Yeah, this will go onto our website, homeopathyschool.org, free webinar page.
Good. And someone just said, is it possible to take your class? The next course starts, 12-week course starts in February, and the website is www.dreams2heart, H-E-A-R-T, dreams2heart.com. And the book I'm writing is called Night School, The Path to Your Heart Encoded in Your Dreams. I think we've, what is the biggest factor to help you dream? Okay, that's a good, oh, there are more. Did people just add more? The biggest factor to help you dream. The biggest factor is the diet. Stop sugar, stop numbing. And you know, along with sugar is stevia, is anything that gives a sweet taste in your mouth still gives you a spike of blood sugar in your brain. So nothing sweet in your mouth. And you know what? It's really uncomfortable for 2 weeks. And then you're fine. And then everything you eat is delicious. And any little sweet thing is too sweet. You get to this place where there's this refined sensitivity. You become the canary in the coal mine. And humanity needs some canaries in the coal mine right now. Because there's way too much distortion that's happening. And people don't know their own truth. Just something I want to say about one of the things I ask people to step away from with the listening diet is social media and serial news watching. Both of those things are toxic to your sense of self, okay? They are out of integrity. They are not true. Now, I grew up in a house where Newsweek was all the information I needed about the world. These were the facts of what was happening in the world. And so about 6 months ago, I had a dream where a woman held up a Newsweek magazine and said, Malcolm, there's a virus in Newsweek. And this was not specifically about Newsweek. It's just what I associate with Newsweek is that's the news. That's what I can trust. There's a virus in the media. We didn't used to have all this backbiting and this is a terrible person and oh, I would never even do that. Can you believe like that? It's a bizarre, distorted gossip that we watch for our news. So think about the vibration that gives you, and then think about the vibration of going for a walk in the woods. And when you go for a walk in the woods, every single tree is saying, I'm a tree. This is who I am. I'm a tree. Everything around you, integrity, 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 integrity. Oh, I don't know why. I feel so good after a walk in the woods. Now let me watch 2 hours of news. Oh, there's the COVID numbers, the deaths. The numbers are worse. Oh my gosh, I need a better mask. This person's not being considerate. There's a whole lot of stuff happening out there that, that there's an agenda behind it. And so it's hard to know that. But when you tune into your dreams, you're then going right to a source place, and it will help you navigate through the confusion that's in the field right now. Someone, oh, that was private. Okay. I can't find the website. Dreams, DREAMS 2TO heart, HEART.com. And it will take you to, yeah. Okay.
It's also on the announcement,
Yeah.
the website.
All right. I hope something I said today was useful. I really enjoyed talking with you today.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.